ever just think about how badly Alicent fumbled the ball for the rest of the women in Westeros?
What would it say if in response to Rhaenyra's crowning we raised up a woman of our own? But the hand speaks with the king's voice, Sir Krista.
Hey everyone, Shona here for episode, what are we up to now? 5 of House of the Dragon Season 2. And let me turn this fan off. I was just thinking about how badly Alicent fumbled for everybody, because when you think about it, it's actually kind of dumb. Because Rhaenys tried to tell her last season that she's just trying to build a window in her cage, and that she doesn't need to serve men. She doesn't need to serve her husband, her sons, her father, the men of the realm. She can have her own desires. And Alicent was just like, we don't serve. We were not meant to rule. We're meant to gently guide. And in this episode, she's volunteering to be Queen Regent, which, I mean, despite whether or not she has experience, which she obviously does, it would make no sense to install her as Queen Regent when Aegon is right there and he has a claim to the throne because he's an actual heir of Viserys, not just the Queen Dowager, who was the late wife. That would make no sense. But then the fact that Lord Feetpicks had to explain to her, we can't install you as Queen Regent. We're not saying that you're not experienced, but you're a woman. Our whole shtick for this whole coup and tearing the realm apart is the fact that we want a male to succeed on the throne. We want male succession. We can't have a female, even if it is legitimate. So I don't know how Alicent forgot that all of a sudden, and why Alicent is making the same exact mistakes Rhaenyra did, but Rhaenyra was a teenager when she made those mistakes, and she only made them once. Rhaenyra only slept with Kristen Cole once. She only had the moon tea once, as far as we know, and that was it. And the rest of her encounters were trying to conceive with Laenor, but Laenor is either infertile or it's just because he was gay. I don't know. Something was going on with that. But, Laenor, her husband, trying to conceive true-born children, which is doing her duty to the realm. And then since she still needed heirs and her husband was unable to produce an heir, she got with Sir Harwin Strong, which, I mean, the kids are bastards, but they still are Targaryens through her line. And they're still noble because House Strong is an old house descended from the first men, so that doesn't really matter all that much. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. But the thing is, Viserys, the most powerful man in the kingdom, we're not going to talk about Otto Hightower right now. Viserys is sitting on the throne. He's had, 80 years apiece, I think Rhaenyra had said it was in the latest episode. 60 inherited 80 years apiece, 60 years apiece. It was a lot of peace. Great-grandfather is Jaehaerys, grandfather is Balon, and then father is Viserys. All peaceful, easygoing guys. I mean, Jaehaerys did not pick Rhaenys, who should have been queen. I still stand by that. I really do think that if she would have been queen, we would not be going through this nonsense with the Greens. But either way, Rhaenyra inherited peace. Viserys was an easygoing guy. If Viserys was not willing to forsake his daughter, which he loved because he loved his wife Emma, if Viserys is not going to forsake his daughter and made her bastards essentially trueborn in the eyes of the realm, nobody was saying otherwise. If Corlys, the proud man that he is, the most powerful man, well, I shouldn't say powerful. Well, he is powerful because House Targaryen and House Velaryon have intermarried a lot, and House Velaryon is the more ancient house out of the House Targaryen and Velaryon. But either way, Corlys is heir to a throne the Driftmark throne, which he built himself, the most wealthy house in the realm. He has the largest fleet. He's an experienced seaman. He's been to places like Shy and Valyria and all these other places, and he's well respected. And he was willing to have Rhaenyra's bastard son as his heir. If the two most powerful men in the realm are okay with it and not saying anything and they're easygoing, why on earth would Alicent think that once Viserys is gone and Corlys's power is weakened and diminished, that she could still do what she wants? Viserys let her rule as Queen Regent, okay? I know Otto was there, and Otto, despite his schemes and his mechanisms, he did actually help Alicent retain the power that she had. And I think Alicent just now realized this episode that she's lost all her power. Her father's gone, Viserys is gone, and she's kind of reminiscing on old days like Otto was like, wow, don't you miss Viserys? He was a great ruler. Everything was peaceful. I could manipulate him, but still, it was great under his rule. Everybody was happy. I mean, Daemon was causing problems, but it was more like swatting at a fly. It wasn't full on chaos and dances of dragons and small folk being hung in the streets and famine and decapitating children, all of that other stuff. None of that was going on under Viserys' watch. And Viserys, although he is viewed as a weak king, he loved his family and he did put his daughter first and he did put the people in his court in check when he was well enough to do so. And he trusted Alicent. He realized that it was a bad move to marry her, and he should have married Lena Valerian, which I said in my season one reviews. I believe he should have married Lena, and none of this would have happened as well. Or Rhaenyra and Aegon could have been married, which I was against at first, but again, it would have solved a lot of problems. And Alicent, if she hadn't twisted her children, Aegon was perfectly fine with letting his sister rule because he never wanted the throne, and he respected the wishes of his father, and he knew that he was inept. Aemon just would have been the problem, but I think he would have been kept in check had, I don't know, Viserys not died, Corlys' strength not been weakened, and what was his name? Lucerys had not died. That would have kept the power balance, and if Harwin Strong was still alive. I know he was being sent back to Harrenhal, but it helps because he was in his corner because those are his kids. Everybody knew it was an open secret, but those were his kids. So I think Alicent realizing that, wow, I mean, Rhaenyra, slept with Kristen Cole when she was a teenager and made this mistake, and I'm in my, what is she, in her 30s now? And I'm making these mistakes, and I'm just realizing now that I don't have to be a prisoner, which is something Rhaenyra was taught by her uncle Daemon as a teenager. I'm a highborn lady. I could have done what I wanted. Wow. And then Alicent's also thinking, like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have let Lord Feetpicks, Larys, manipulate me because now he has himself a seat on the council and he acts like he doesn't know me. And for years, Larys just steady manipulated Alicent and picked at her insecurities. And now he's at a place of power where he doesn't even need to talk to her. And that he had to be the one to gently break it to her, like, thanks for the feet picks all those years, but you're a woman. We can't have you rule. And then Kristen Cole, who Alicent literally said flies from her room like a bird before the morning breaks. She's basically a side piece, a royal side piece to a lowborn Dornish. I mean, he's not a bastard, but he seems like a bastard. He acts like one. It's like, Alicent, what are you doing? How did she just now realize that she lost all her power? If Alicent had just stayed on code and supported Rhaenyra instead of letting her father get into her head, which again, I don't blame her because she's been raised like that. She's been raised to have no feelings or thoughts of her own and just worry about the men in her life, even though she did a terrible job of raising her children, which is another issue that, I mean, Viserys kind of didn't raise his kids either with Alicent, so I mean, it's both of them. It's kind of both their fault. But if Alicent had just let things go and kept her mouth shut and just chilled out and supported Rhaenyra, Rhaenyra would be queen. We have Lady Jane Eyre in the Eyrie, in the Eyrie, the Vale, whatever, same thing. Woman leadership. We'd have Rhaenys most likely being the hand of the queen, which I still think she would be hand of the queen in the future. Even if the timeline was different, because Rhaenys is an invaluable advisor, and she's brilliant. She should have been queen. We have Mysaria as the Master of Whispers. I mean, Alicent could have had a place at the small council, and her opinion would have been valued and listened to. Even Rhaenyra's small council now in this timeline, a lot of people talk about, especially what is his name, Sir Alfred, that he doesn't respect her. I think he does because he basically said he has no doubt about her. To the same effect, he has to a similar effect. I'm paraphrasing. He has no doubt about her abilities to rule or her prudence and her cunning. Like, he acknowledges she's brilliant. It's just women are not known to make war. And then Rhaenyra points out that we've been in peace. You haven't seen any wars either. But basically, what he was saying is, I'm not used to dealing with women. I don't doubt that you're capable of the job, but we're not used to dealing with women in this role. So I don't know how to deal with you or talk to you. That's how I read it. And that's the same way I read it in Alicent's small council. Like, nobody doubts your ability to rule. We know you can rule. We know you're a great ruler. And we know that things would be fine if you were Queen Regent, but we have we're our whole coup, our whole point of treason, and all these deaths is the fact that we want a male on the throne just because we want to control him as proxy. So it's just really ridiculous that Alicent fumbled that badly, and that it took her years to realize the mistakes that Rhaenyra realized as a teenager. And Alicent has done nothing but be jealous and look down on Rhaenyra, and Rhaenyra was right the entire time. I'm not going to agree with everything Rhaenyra does, but I mean, I'm Team Black, so. And then just to close this off, I know other things happen, and Aemon being cut out of his armor, and I don't care. I mean, I care, but I don't care. And then Jason, the bastards, and the fact that Rhaenyra has the records because Viserys has the records because Viserys cared about history and he was intelligent and smart, and Alicent chastises Aegon for putting away his father's books, and then she's looking for the books to see if what Rhaenyra said was true about the Song of Ice and Fire prophecy from Aegon the Conqueror. And then we cut to Rhaenyra, which the plan goes horribly wrong. Spoiler, but the fact that Rhaenyra has all of the records on Dragonstone and the Valyrian histories that were not in the castle, and she has the family histories of every house, and her father taught her the family histories, but not about war, but specifically because he wanted her to be diplomatic and have diplomacy because they were in a time of peace. It had been 3 generations of peace, so why wouldn't there be more? And the fact that Rhaenyra has that information, and that they kind of, I mean, they're basically using what is his name, Jace, as an example that the Valyrian histories of their family are exaggerated to make them seem more important than they really are, because they were a minor house in Valyria. But the fact that people with just maybe an ounce of dragon riding blood, Targaryen blood, can ride the dragons as long as they're from the line that was mixed with dragons and humans and blood sacrifice and all that other stuff. But just to close it off with Daemon at Harrenhal, what the hell is going on with this? I mean, I know Game of Thrones was known for its salacious scenes, but I did not need to see Daemon sleep with his mother. I really didn't want to see that. I also didn't want to see him covet his brother's wife. It was just like, why? And then the fact that he's drinking weirwood paste, he's sleeping on a weirwood bed, he's making things worse in the Riverlands. The fact that the Brackens and the Blackwoods, which have been warring for centuries, have essentially, the people around them have even teamed up and said, this is enough. I mean, we fight, but we fight in our own ways. You're an outsider and you brought all this chaos. The fact that Daemon went to the Riverlands, took it over, quote unquote, or basically took over a dilapidated castle that's broke, and just lost it all. While Jace showed up and tried to barter with the Freys. I mean, which apparently they just want Harrenhal because they want the incomes, which I don't blame them, because Larys doesn't need the income. Larys is a jerk. But Daemon needs to get out of Harrenhal. He needs to just go home. Daemon just needs to go home and stop with this tripping off of weirwoods and the old gods tormenting him. I don't know what the point of this is. I don't even think he has a goal anymore. It doesn't seem like he's interested in leaving or progressing his army, because it's his army, because he's has it in his head now that he's the rightful ruler, and he's ruined Rhaenyra's claim once again and ruined her reputation. He doesn't seem to care. So I don't know how this is a spiritual awakening, as Alice Rivers, actress, said in one of the Inside the episodes. It just seems like Daemon is spiraling, and I don't know who's going to save him. I know his end, as do I know his mini-me nephew's end, or, yeah, nephew, right? Nephew, cousin, something. Well, maybe all of those. I don't know what Aemon is to Daemon. They're all very, very inbred. But either way, tell me your thoughts. What did you think about this episode? I thought it was fantastic, and I also thought it was hypocritical of Corlys to try to name Bela heir to Driftmark when Bela's supposed to be engaged to Jace, so she would be the queen consort to the Six Kingdoms. I'm not saying Seven Kingdoms because Dorne wasn't in the fold at this time, even though they keep trying to manifest Dorne into the fold by saying the Seven Kingdoms, but Dorne was not messing with them until the marriage of Rhaegar and Elia Martell. But yeah, I just, what did you think about Corlys saying that he wants to give Bela Driftmark when Bela is betrothed to Jace and she would be queen consort of the Six Kingdoms? And Bela basically says, I don't want Driftmark. I'm blood and fire. Someone of salt and sea needs to take over that throne, which eventually we know it's going to be Adam. But just the fact that Bela said, I'd rather die a dragon's death as my mother and my grandmother than sit on a salty throne in a damp room in a tomb of a castle. Oh, Corlys needs to get it together. But yeah, I know his wife died, but come on, man. Life goes on. But tell me your thoughts. Leave them in the comment section below. What do you just what do you think about all this? I'm a little late on these reviews. I think I only have, if I'm being real, I only have, I think season two, episode one's review and video posted up on my blog and up and over here on YouTube. And I've been recording and writing each week. I just haven't typed it because I'm typing on mobile right now, and it's just a little time consuming. But I need to stop procrastinating because it's literally done. I just have to upload them and edit them a bit. So I'm gonna try to get all that going this week. But yeah, I need to watch episode 6 because it just came out because it is a Wednesday at the time of me recording this. But yeah, guys, tell me your thoughts, leave them in the comment section below, and until next time, I will see you again soon. Bye bye.